You're about to discover Thoth's most powerful secret, a secret capable of completely changing the way you understand reality. Thoth, the Egyptian master of the unseen, used to say, "The all is mind." What does that mean? That everything you call reality, your life, your body, your results, is energy shaped by your internal state. And here comes the shock. That energy obeys you, but it doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to what you vibrate. If your world feels out of control, maybe your frequency is too. Thoth taught how to align the mind, heart, and body to rewrite reality. And in this video, I'll show you exactly how to apply that ancient knowledge to transform your life right now. Stay until the end, because what you're about to hear can never be forgotten. Energy flows where attention goes. And what if I told you that words have the power to create worlds, not as a metaphor, but as a vibrational truth? Thoth, the sacred scribe of Egypt, the one initiates called Lord of the Words of Power, wasn't just a god of knowledge. He was the guardian of Hika, the hidden science of verbal vibration. And according to Thoth, sound is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. Every word that comes out of your mouth carries a frequency, and that frequency is like a seed cast into the vibrational field of the universe. Once you understand this, you begin to see that speaking just to speak is a waste of energy. Because sound shapes, sound moves, sound opens portals. In ancient Egypt, when a priest wanted to activate an energy, he didn't just use gestures or thoughts. He chanted. Every syllable, every sound, every vocal vibration was an energetic command, and it wasn't just what was said, it was how it was said. Thoth revealed that the power of the word lies in the alignment between the voice, the mind, and the heart. Speaking without presence is an echo. Speaking with intention is creation. How many times have you said something you didn't really mean? Now stop and think. What are you creating with that? Because yes, every time you open your mouth, you're manipulating energy. You're signing vibrational decrees. You're activating or blocking realities. Thoth taught that words carry the breath of spirit. In Hebrew, it became ruach. In the Vedas, it became mantra. But it was Thoth who first described the mechanics of it. The verb is the vehicle of intention. That's why the initiate learned two languages, the language of sound and the language of silence. Yes, silence is also a verb, not the silence of absence, but the silence of absolute presence. Thoth taught that when sound can no longer express with purity, silence takes over. And in silence, vibration intensifies, because energy isn't interrupted by empty words. In many Egyptian rituals, the peak of power happened in complete silence, because in that moment, the energy field was so tuned that a single intention was enough. Now think about your life. How many words do you speak every day without awareness? How many times do you say, "I'm tired, this won't work, I'm unlucky"? You're declaring that into your field. You're signing energetic contracts because the universe doesn't understand irony. It understands vibration. And when you start speaking with intention, everything changes. When you pray with presence, affirm with truth, or remain silent with reverence, your field aligns. This is the creative verb. It's not about speaking more, it's about speaking with soul. It's about understanding that every word can open a path or close it, and that's what Thoth recorded. The word is sacred, the mouth is a portal, sound is magic, and silence is the dwelling of spirit. And that's exactly where one of the greatest keys left by Thoth comes in. Because if sound shapes reality and thought directs vibration, then the next natural step is to understand the principle that connects all things. The key of energetic correspondence. This is the third revelation. As above, so below. It's not just a pretty phrase, it's a vibrational law. It's the law of correspondence. Thoth revealed this in the Emerald Tablet as a direct instruction for those who wish to consciously work with energy. He made it clear that everything happening in the higher planes of existence is reflected in the lower planes, and vice versa. In other words, what you feel echoes. What you think manifests. What you believe takes shape. The energy of the universe moves by similarity. Frequency attracts frequency. Vibration attracts vibration. And if the planes are connected, then what you transform within transforms outside. And here lies the most overlooked secret by those seeking change. Many people try to change matter. They force situations, fight reality, burn themselves out trying to control the external. But they forget that the root of everything is in the invisible. Thoth taught that reality is conceived in the invisible. The physical plane is just the reflection. Want to change your body? Start with your mind. Want to heal an addiction? Reprogram the emotion that sustains it. Want to attract something new? Shift your inner field. Because if what's above is like what's below, then the spiritual, mental, and emotional worlds are constantly communicating with the material world. You're not separate from these planes. You are the bridge between them. And that's why a true initiate doesn't just work with external actions, they work with resonance. Thoth taught that every thought you hold, every emotion you feed, every pattern you repeat, all of that creates waves. Waves that rise, that fall, that spread through invisible dimensions and return in the form of experience. That's why you attract repeating patterns. That's why certain situations keep coming back. Not because you're being punished, but because your vibration is matching them. And if you understand this, everything changes. Because it's no longer about changing what happens. It's about changing the origin. And the origin is always in the invisible, in the idea, in the belief, in the emotion. And Thoth was the first to systematize this as spiritual science. He wasn't talking about blind faith. He was talking about vibrational mechanics. If you vibrate scarcity, it doesn't matter how hard you chase prosperity. It won't resonate. If you vibrate abandonment, it doesn't matter how much someone loves you, you'll sabotage it. If you vibrate insecurity, it doesn't matter what you achieve, you'll always feel like it's not enough. Because the upper plane responds to the lower one, and the outer world responds to the inner one. That's real energy work. Not trying to control what happens, but transforming what you emit. It's like tuning a radio station. You don't change the music by twisting the speaker. You change the frequency, and your life is playing exactly the station you're broadcasting right now. And if everything in the universe responds to what you vibrate, then it's clear. It's not about doing more. It's about directing better. Energy isn't created. It's directed with intention. Thoth explained that energy doesn't need to be created. It already exists. It's all around you, inside you, between atoms, in the invisible spaces of the air, in the feelings you can't see but can feel. The universe is a massive vibrational powerhouse. The question has never been how to generate energy, but rather, what are you doing with it? Because energy without direction is just agitation, movement without purpose, noise. And that's where Thoth's real secret comes in. Intention is the command. Presence is the channel. It's not enough to wish. It's not enough to think. You have to intend. And not just any way. Thoth compared the initiate to an alchemist. Not the fairy tale kind, but the real one. The one who understands the exact moment to light the fire, to shake the flask, to invoke silence. Because that's what it is. You don't create the fire. You learn how to ignite it at the right moment. And to help you understand this more clearly, I'm going to share a short story with you. A Hermetic fable. Once upon a time, there was a young energy apprentice who lived in a hidden village between the mountains. His name was Calum. Since he was a child, Calum had heard stories about the ancient masters who healed with their hands, changed the weather with their thoughts, and calmed wild beasts with just a look. He dreamed of becoming one of them. One day he met an old man, cloaked in dark robes with eyes that seemed to see the invisible. He was an initiate of Thoth's temple. Calum begged to be trained. The old man simply said, "Come back tomorrow at sunrise." Bring a bucket of water, a dry stick, and silence in your heart. The next day, Caleb arrived out of breath. He brought the bucket, the stick, but his heart was still full of anxiety. The elder then said, "Now, heat the water with your energy." Caleb tried. He stared hard, clenched his fists, took deep breaths. Nothing. The water stayed cold. For days he came back, trying everything to produce energy. He jumped, shouted, meditated, recited mantras. Nothing worked. Until on the 8th day, exhausted, he knelt before the bucket and, in silence, placed his hand over the water. And for the first time, he felt. The water warmed, the stick caught fire, and the air around him grew light. The old man smiled and said, "Now you understand. The fire doesn't come from force. It comes from clarity, from unwavering intention, from presence that doesn't rush. The fire was always here. You just needed to align with it." Caleb never forgot, because true power isn't about trying to control energy. It's about becoming a clear enough channel for it to flow with direction. Many today try to manipulate energy like someone trying to squeeze fire from stone. They force visualizations, repeat empty phrases, follow soulless techniques. But Thoth said, without clear intention, the flow gets lost. Without presence, it doesn't respond. You could do all the rituals, use all the crystals, light all the incense, but if there's no living purpose behind it, it all turns to smoke. Energy only moves with direction when intention is pure, and it only anchors in the body when presence is complete. That's the difference between creating and wasting, between vibrating and tuning in, between knowing and being. And when you begin to direct that energy with true intention, a new door opens. Because there's no point trying to shape reality if what's vibrating inside you is still in conflict. Thoth made that clear. The greatest lab of transmutation isn't outside, it's within. That's where real alchemy begins. The true one. The one that doesn't transform metals, but transforms you. In the Emerald Tablet, he wrote something few truly understand: to separate the subtle from the dense, gently and with great skill. That phrase is a code, a vibrational formula. It describes the process of taking everything dense inside you, anger, fear, guilt, resentment, and elevating it, turning it into something subtle, into love, into forgiveness, into clarity. It's delicate work. It's not forced. It's not automatic. It's done with presence, with awareness, with skill. Thoth taught that there is no true power without inner purification. And it's not a moralistic purification, it's energetic. Because every emotion you hold on to, every unprocessed memory, every belief you still carry, all of that is vibrational matter. Matter that can be purified. But for that to happen, you have to go down. Down into your shadows. Down into the parts you hide, deny, avoid. And that's where the gold of alchemy is. It's not about rising straight up. It's about descending with courage, facing it head-on, transforming it, and only then, ascending. Just like fire purifies raw metal, consciousness burns away the residue of the ego. Anger dissolves into compassion. Sadness reveals wisdom. Pain turns into power. That's real energy work, transmuting what's vibrating at a low frequency inside you before trying to manifest anything outside. And yes, other traditions talk about this too. Tantra speaks of the Kundalini serpent rising up the spine. Kabbalah speaks of the tree of life with its paths of elevation. But Thoth had already shown this thousands of years ago, with symbols, metaphors, and living formulas. He taught that energy must rise, from the dense to the subtle, from instinct to spirit, from chaos to order, and the path always goes through the inside. As long as you try to create realities without transmuting your field, you're just dressing the old in a new appearance, changing the form but keeping the content. Thoth's alchemy begins when you're willing to look honestly at what's blocking your energy, and instead of fighting it, you warm it with presence, warm it with patience, warm it with love, and in that inner fire, the old breaks down and the new, finally, can be born. And when the fire of consciousness transforms what was dense, something shifts in you. You start to realize that the entire reality around you isn't just on the outside. It's above all on the inside. That's the moment when the true initiate begins to understand Thoth's first great law, mentalism. Mentalism. Master the mind, and you master matter. The all is mind. These three words hide one of the deepest secrets in all of Hermetic spirituality. Because what Thoth is saying here is direct. The entire universe is mental. Not metaphorically, literally. Everything that exists, time, space, matter, planets, your body, your emotions, is a manifestation of the primordial mind. That means your thoughts aren't just thoughts. They're commands, waves, currents of vibration that expand through the invisible field and begin to shape matter. And here's the most serious point. If you don't master your mind shapes the world without your consent. You might wish for peace, but if your mind is constantly at war, the field you emit is conflict. You might ask for love, but if your thoughts revolve around abandonment, rejection, scarcity, what you attract won't be any different from that. Thoth taught that working with energy is, before anything else, learning how to work with your own mental field. Because the mind is like a lens. If the lens is foggy, the light can't pass through. If it's distorted, the world looks confusing. But if it's clear, aligned, conscious, it projects with precision. And then, everything starts to respond. Today, science is starting to get this. The brain's electromagnetic field, the placebo effect, quantum physics showing that the observer changes particle behavior. All of it points to what Thoth said thousands of years ago. What you hold in your mind manifests in the physical world. And there's no magic here. There's coherence. Thoughts are energy, and energy creates forms. That's why what you think all day, what you keep telling yourself, what you believe about who you are, all of it is writing your future right now. And more, your mind doesn't create alone. It's in conversation with the universe. When you repeat a pattern of thought, you generate a frequency. And that frequency starts tuning into events, people, and situations that are vibrating at the same level. Have you noticed that? When you wake up in a bad mood and keep feeding negative thoughts, it feels like your whole day falls apart. But when you shift your focus, take a deep breath, choose to see things differently. Even the weather seems to change. It's not a coincidence. It's your mind vibrating with the all. But heads up, this doesn't mean you just have to think positive. Thought without inner coherence is just noise. The mind only creates powerfully when it's aligned with the heart and with action. That's what Thoth called vibrational unity. You don't think one thing and feel another. You don't wish for something and act against it. You align, completely. Mind, emotion, body. And then, yes, reality responds. Presence is the portal. Without the here and now, there is no power. After you understand that the mind shapes the universe, it's natural to want to think differently, imagine better, declare a new reality. But Thoth knew something most people forget. There's no point in thinking about light with your soul absent. Because real power isn't in repeating mantras or imagining something positive. Real power is in being here, fully. Thoth taught that before any energetic operation, any ritual, any magical touch, the initiate had to be present. Distraction wasn't allowed inside the temple, and that wasn't about respect. It was about vibrational foundation. Because when you're not present, you're not a clear channel. You're a shaky antenna. Think of a candle lit in the wind. The flame is there, but it flickers, fails, dances aimlessly. Now think of that same candle in a space of total silence and focus. There, the flame burns straight, steady, clear. That's how presence works in the energy field. It's what stabilizes vibration. It's what organizes internal chaos. It's what allows energy to respond precisely to your command. Presence, for Thoth, was an art. It didn't mean stopping the body, but silencing the fragmentation of the mind. He called it opening the nous, the divine intellect, and only those who knew how to quiet the mental noise could open that sacred channel. Picture this. You enter a sacred space, place your hand on a crystal, speak an intention, but inside, your mind is spinning on bills, fear, the past, the outcome you're hoping for. Nothing flows. The energy doesn't respond. Why? Because the channel is cracked. You're there, but you're not. Thoth said only those who inhabit the now can access the real, because the past is memory. The future is projection. Only the present is creation. And when you learn to breathe with awareness, to feel every gesture, to hear the silence between sounds, something shifts. You start entering the field where everything can be transformed, and then, yes, the power begins to awaken. But even presence isn't enough if your center is cold. You can be here, now, fully aware, but if your heart is closed, what you radiate won't warm, won't heal, won't transform. Thoth taught that the real alchemical fire doesn't come from the brain or from desire. It comes from the heart. And here, love isn't romance or attachment. It's a pure, silent vibration that dissolves resistance and transmutes realities. It's the most subtle and most powerful force there is. It's the invisible heat that gives life to all conscious creation. Picture the alchemist in their lab, slowly heating a raw substance until it turns to gold. That fire isn't literal. Thoth said that heat is generated by a heart in a state of coherence, a heart at peace, a heart that loves without needing to possess. A heart that beats with faith even when the world around it is in ruins. That's the true altar. Not made of stone, but of pulse. Not external, but intimate. The heart isn't just an organ, it's a field, a transmitter, a sacred furnace where everything can be refined, and that's where mind, body, and spirit meet. If the mind is the compass, the heart is the fire that drives it. If presence is the soil, the heart is the living seed. Science has already discovered that the heart's electromagnetic field is over 5,000 times stronger than the brain's. But Thoth taught this long before machines. He said the initiate, who didn't learn to love, not with words, but with vibration, would never be able to transmute anything. Because it doesn't matter how many rituals you know, doesn't matter how many techniques you've mastered. If what's vibrating in your chest is judgment, bitterness, hurry, the energy won't move. It's love that heats the field. It's compassion that releases pain. It's forgiveness that dissolves invisible chains. Jesus said, "Your faith has healed you." But that faith is only born when the heart is open. That's why, when someone lays hands with true love, the other person feels it. When someone speaks with a heart vibrating truth, the other hears beyond the words. When you love with purity, with no hidden intention, the entire universe responds. Thoth said, a heart in coherence is the point where everything merges. The mind quiets, the body calms, the energy flows, and in that state, you become a sun, able to light, warm, transform. That's the vibration of love as a force, not as emotion, but as the very language of the cosmos. And when the heart is lit, the body becomes a true instrument of channeling. And we're not talking about symbolism. We're talking about real energy in motion. The final secret, you are the channel, but only if you're aligned. Thoth taught that the body, especially the hands, is a vibrational portal. Every gesture has a frequency. Every movement is a key. And when done with intention and presence, the body becomes a direct conductor between the visible and the invisible. The ancient Egyptians knew this. They didn't just speak. They traced sound with their hands. When a priest pronounced a sacred name, he didn't just vocalize. It was shaped into the air with precise gestures. Because to Thoth, language wasn't just made of words. It was made of forms, sounds, and movements. In the temple, nothing was random. The way they walked, touched sacred objects, tilted their heads, opened their arms, everything had a purpose. Each gesture opened a circuit. Each geometric shape traced in the air by the hands activated a specific type of frequency. Energy, as Thoth taught, doesn't respond only to thought. It also responds to form. That's why the body was trained like an instrument, and the hands were the tips of the conductor. Have you ever noticed what your hands do when you're nervous? You clench, you shake, you close, and when you're calm, your hands relax. They open, they rest. Hands speak what the mouth doesn't say. They are the energetic language of your inner state. That's why practices like mudras, used in yoga, are so powerful. When you bring your fingers together in a certain way, you're not just making a pretty symbol, you're completing an energetic circuit. You're closing a link between vibrational points in your body and your consciousness. Thoth revealed this in the temples of Egypt. There, gestures were taught like formulas. A gesture to open, a gesture to protect, a gesture to anchor. The entire body was part of the ritual, not as decoration, but as vibrational coding. And when you understand that, even the simplest gesture in your day, placing your hands over your heart, joining your palms at the center of your chest, touching an object with intention, suddenly gains a new dimension. Energy work isn't only in the mind, it's in conscious movement, in living posture, in the way you move, because your body is the mirror of your soul. And Thoth taught that the soul only fully expresses itself when the body is also present in the ritual of existence. Now, we arrive at the final key, the last piece Thoth saved for those who were ready, because it's not enough to know how to think. It's not enough to know how to feel, not even enough to know how to move. All of that only becomes real power when the three, mind, heart, and body, become one. This is the secret of the thrice great. Thoth wasn't called that by accident. He mastered the three planes, physical, mental, and spiritual. And he taught that true energy work only happens when those three planes are in perfect harmony. Think of it like this. The mind is like an antenna. It directs. The heart is like a furnace. It heats. The body is like a connection cable. It grounds. But if the antenna points one way, the furnace heats another, and the cable doesn't transmit, what happens? Noise, contradiction, misalignment. That's what happens when you think one thing but feel another, or when you talk about peace but act with fear and urgency. The universe doesn't understand words. It understands vibrational coherence. Thoth taught that you are a channel, but only when you are whole, only when your mind thinks, your heart feels, and your body acts in the same direction. That's what the ancients represented with the triangle: Father, Son, and Spirit. Body, mind, and soul. Heaven, earth, and man. That triangle isn't symbolic, it's structural. It represents the energetic trinity that creates reality. When you unite those three within yourself, you stop wishing and start manifesting. You stop trying to control and start co-creating. Thoth said that when the initiate aligns internally, he becomes a clear mirror of the all, and everything he emits returns with precision. In that state, time slows down. Coincidences multiply. The body becomes light. Intuition sharpens. You stop being someone lost in the current, and you become the river itself. You are the channel, but only if you are whole. Only if your mind is clear, your heart is warm, and your body is present. And when that happens, you don't just manipulate energy. You become energy in a conscious state. If you felt that this knowledge activated something inside you, then the calling is just beginning. A special video has been carefully prepared so you can continue on this awakening journey. It's showing up on your screen right now. Don't leave yet. Click on that video and let's meet there. The next revelation might be exactly what your soul needed to hear. See you on the other side.